Florida Live starts now.
Well, good afternoon to you and welcome into Florida Live. I'm Garrett Weimer, and thanks for joining us on this Thursday afternoon live on Fox Local and on YouTube. Coming up later in the show, we're going to have the details on this year's magical dining. So what you can expect from Orlando restaurants participating in that, what you might be able to find on the menu, and how it all helps a good cause. It is returning for its 20th year. We'll have all those details coming up later in the show. Good trouble living on today across Florida and across the country. A number of demonstrations and rallies being held throughout the day today on this day that marks the 5 years since the death of civil rights leader and Congressman John Lewis. A number of folks taking a stand and making a statement in a number of ways today. We'll have the details on that coming up in just a little bit. But we begin our show with another lawsuit against Alligator Alcatraz. The questions continuing to swirl around this new immigration detention camp in the Everglades. And today, the ACLU announced it is filing suit against the Trump administration over lack of access to legal counsel. In a statement, the ACLU of Florida saying that this is not just a policy failure, but they're calling it a moral one as well. Saying, quote, the state has hastily erected a costly and deadly shadow prison in the middle of the Everglades during hurricane season to warehouse human beings, stripping them of due process and dignity, cutting them off from their families and legal counsel, intentionally putting their lives in danger and leaving them to suffer in silence. They go on to say this is how rights are erased, but the Constitution doesn't disappear in the Everglades. According to that complaint, they say at least 700 people being housed at that facility right now. Magdalena Cuprys is an immigration attorney based in South Florida who is representing 4 clients who be currently being held at the Alligator Alcatraz. She joins us live now via Zoom. And Magdalena, appreciate you joining us this afternoon here on Florida Live.
Thank you so much for having me, Weimer.
If you could first just talk with me about your clients who are being held there and what you can share with us about them.
Sure. So I currently have 4 clients at the facility. 2 of them have been in the United States for over 10 years, one over 20 years, the other one about 13. And then the other 2 are Cuban nationals. 3 of them do have final removal orders already, and 1 does not. The one that doesn't is the Honduran national. He's been living in the United States for 13 years. He's the one that I've been talking about a lot lately. He was pulled over with a valid driver's license at a weigh station because he owns a trucking business. He owns a paver company, a construction business. And at that truck stop or weight station, he was sent over by FHP to CBP, allegedly to verify his driver's license to make sure that it was valid, which frankly didn't make a whole lot of sense to me because obviously FHP can check and verify whether somebody's license is valid, right? But those are the 4 clients that I currently have there at that facility.
What has it been like trying to get in contact with them?
Impossible. Impossible. When the clients were first detained, they were taken, other than the 2 Cubans, but the Honduran and the Guatemalan were taken initially to a CBP staging facility. They were there for about 5 days, and that was because Alcatraz hadn't opened yet. It seems to me that CBP was gathering people so that the day that Alcatraz opened, they would have a busload or 2 busloads of people to, put on TV that they're arriving, the first, criminal aliens or detainees. Oddly enough, my clients, at least, are not criminals. But communication with them has been impossible. We've gone in person, we've emailed, we've called, and all that we're getting is, first, come back tomorrow, maybe you'll have better luck, like a joke. 2 days ago, we were emailed a form to fill out, which we did immediately to try and get communication with our client. No response since then. One of my clients actually had a bond hearing at the Chrome Detention Center, to which he was not brought, even though when we arrived to Chrome, we were informed by the other guards that there were 90 detainees that were taken to Chrome that day. And we thought that maybe they were brought for court and that our client would be one of them, but he was not brought. So he was not at his own court hearing. He was not prepared for the hearing. Regardless, he hasn't been able to speak to us. Now, as of yesterday, he did call me on a regular phone call that's designated for families, and I was able to have a very brief communication with him. I could not discuss case details because the communication was recorded. So the first thing that would come on is, this everything that is being or that you talk about is going to be recorded and can and will be used against you. So obviously my communication with him was only, are you still there? Because that's one of the other things that happens today is that detainees are being moved around the whole country a lot. So that's really the only communication with him I've had so far. And like I said, we continue to email, we continue to go over there and try and persist to obtain a legal visit.
Magdalena, I know you have a lot of experience as an immigration attorney. You are highly recognized for the work that you've done. Is this different? Is this a different experience with this difficulty in getting in contact with them than you normally see in the cases and the clients you represent? Absolutely.
So I have over 25 years of experience, and probably 22 or so of those are dealing with detained clients, detained immigration cases. I deal with detained clients all over the country, Florida and everywhere else. And we have never had this issue before. At all of the detention centers, generally as an attorney, you show up, you show that you're an attorney, who you are, and you have basic information about the client that you're trying to see, which is normally name, alien number, and country of origin. And the facilities accommodate you. Depending on the facilities, they may have hours. Like Chrome normally lets you in until 10 p.m., the Broward Transitional Center until 5. Glades County Jail used to be that you could go 24 hours as long as you advise them. And all facilities, have access to counsel except for this one. And it's funny to me that, I understand that they built or created this facility in a very short time frame, but they were able to arrange a contractor for the calls with the family, for the recorded calls that, the families or the detainees have to pay for. And they were able to arrange private contractors for everything else, but they didn't think that these people would hire attorneys or that attorneys would want to see them and talk to them. I don't understand.
Magdalena, what would you say to people who say these detainees are here illegally, they shouldn't be here, and maybe don't see anything wrong with the way things are being handled right now?
So I see those comments a lot. Whenever anything immigration related is go home, do this, they shouldn't have come here illegally. I think that perhaps some of those concerns are valid, but the point here is that everybody, even somebody who kills someone, has a right to have an attorney. And a lot of, I've been practicing, like you said, 25 years, around 25 years. I've seen people in detention that were U.S. citizens that should not have been there in the first place. And if they had not been able to find an attorney in a timely fashion and talk to an attorney, there's a lot of people out there that are disabled, a lot of people that don't have families, a lot of people that are homeless, they don't have the documents. A lot of people don't know their histories of, where they were born or who their parents were. So, I don't think it's as simple as go home. I think that if someone is looking for an attorney should be able to talk to them and figure it out. So I don't think it's such a clear issue. The other issue that's very important, taking my client as an example, yes, my client in theory has been here illegally. However, my client did not come here illegally. My client was trafficked into the United States. He was a victim of trafficking upon entry. After that, he filed an asylum claim. Two of his uncles were already granted asylum by the courts. One of them was a judge at the Chrome Detention Center. My client has not committed any crime. He doesn't even have an arrest for driving without a license. He only has traffic tickets, and they're not for speeding or anything like that. It's for a broken taillight, I believe, that he didn't even know was broken. He has a business. He works. He's never taken any public benefits from this country. He pays taxes. He has 2 United States citizen children. I mean, yeah, maybe a lot of people shouldn't be here, but I don't think that's everyone. So,
Magdalena, do you think we're seeing profiling?
I know you're seeing profiling. So this gentleman I'm speaking about, he was my client prior to his current detention. So a little bit of a history of his case. He was previously in deportation proceedings when he filed asylum because he entered the United States as a victim of trafficking when he was a minor. And he filed an asylum claim. However, the Department of Homeland Security used its prosecutorial discretion against my client's wishes and administratively closed his removal proceedings, meaning a judge never made a decision on his asylum claim. Subsequently, we were filing an affirmative application as a victim of trafficking, and he had a valid driver's license by law because he was allowed to get one in Florida. He was stopped at this wait stop, and while he was at the wait stop, he called me. And he was telling me that the officer was telling him that he's going to take him to CBP. And that didn't make any sense to me. Like, why are they taking you to CBP? Everything's in order in your case. So I asked him if he would please ask the officer to speak to me directly, to put me on the phone so I could ask the officer questions and determine what was happening, right? Because sometimes clients aren't able to explain or don't understand what's happening. And the officer did get on the phone with me. He was very nice. And I asked why he was being sent to CBP. And the officer said that, they needed to check his driver's license. And when I pressed him and said, but why? Because I know you can check it on the spot. I mean, I've been pulled over by Highway Patrol. They always check my driver's license. They have a computer. He said, well, now we work with CBP. And ultimately, he just said, look, I'm not the one that makes the decision. I just have to do my job.
Magdalena, last thing I'll ask you here, and then I'll let you go. I appreciate your time. What is next for these cases and for your clients and your attempts to get in touch with them as things move forward?
Well, for this one particular client, we had a bond hearing 2 days ago. We were rescheduled for the 22nd. Hopefully he'll be released. So I think that we'll be pursuing some sort of habeas corpus release in federal court. The ACL lawsuit is definitely very helpful. At least we're hoping that will assist with us being able to talk to them and see what it's like inside the facility, and also to help prepare them for their cases. It doesn't look like, because of a recent change in case law from the Board of Immigration Appeals, that individuals that entered the United States without inspection, regardless of whether they were trafficked or whether they entered voluntarily or however else, as long as they entered in the United States without inspection, the government, the Department of Homeland Security, is now arguing that they are applicants for admission and therefore mandatory detention, meaning that us as attorneys previously who used to be able to file bond hearings for these individuals and get them bonds so they could be released from detention, now we're filing bond hearings, are going to these hearings and are being told that they're mandatory detention because the immigration judges don't have jurisdiction to give them bond. So it looks like our clients may be in detention and may have to present their whole case in a detained setting, which obviously takes months. I mean, I have cases now being scheduled for an individual hearings in December. Very difficult to prepare a detained case when your client's detained and we need documents from them when they're detained. But obviously it's possible. However, ultimately, what we'll be preparing for is an immigration court trial to show why they should be allowed to stay in the United States. And if we can't talk to them, that makes it very difficult. Also, the other thing that's happening that I think the public should really know is that, our tax money is being spent on detaining these people. And what ends up happening in a lot of my cases is I will have someone at Alligator Alcatraz for a month, and then they're set for their hearing, their bond hearing or their final hearing, let's say for tomorrow as an example. And the morning of, before their hearing is supposed to take place, ICE picks them up and ships them out. They will ship them to Texas, to Arizona, to California. They will keep them there, again, 2 weeks, month, sometimes 6 weeks. And before their hearing is supposed to take place, again, they get picked up and moved and shipped. I mean, I had 2 clients that were moved 4 times before they actually had a hearing with them and me present in the same place. They were picked up at a construction job site in the Panhandle. I think everybody heard about that. And their bond hearing happened in Honolulu. After 6 weeks, I think it was 2 months of being detained in different facilities. And again, to people that are saying these people shouldn't be here, yeah, but we're paying for their detention, we're paying for their transfers, we're paying for their food. I mean, how are we winning from that? You know, I don't think there's a winner, and I don't think it's that simple.
Immigration attorney Magdalena Cuprys, we appreciate you talking about your experience, and thanks for joining us this afternoon here on Florida Live.
Thank you for having me again, Garrett.
We're going to take a break and we'll be right back.